Hi, dear students. Welcome. I hope you are well now and you are spending your time at your home. As you know, we are going through the series of lecture on 18th century literature. Until now, we have completed two special lecture on it. In our first lecture, it was a kind of introductory lecture, and then we have also talked about the biography of Alexander Pope and also some key writings of him. In our 2 days lecture, we will proceed further with that series of lecture on major writers of the age. And in our 2 days concern, we have an Irish writer, yes, and his name is Jonathan Swift. Jonathan Swift, he was born in Dublin, Ireland on November 30, 1667. And he was born a kind of born that is called posthumous child, because just 1 year earlier his father died. And then at the age of 1, child Jonathan was taken by his wet nurse to her hometown, that is in England. And once we have found that Jonathan Swift himself talked about this incident. He said that when in England, he learned to read Bible from her. And then when his age was only 3, his wet nurse returned him to his mother in Ireland. Then his mother left the young Swift in the care of his uncle. Though the family's condition, that in the position of wealth and economy, was very much weak, but they have held relations with the exceptional writers of the era. Then Swift attended secondary school at Kilkenny College in Dublin. Then he received his bachelor's degree from Trinity College. After that, he moved to England and attended Hertford College at Oxford and earned his master's degree too. And here he starts thinking about writing in political manner, and especially that is about the revolution that is called Glorious Revolution in Ireland. And as a result, at that time he had to leave that Ireland and he had to move to England, where he get a position as secretary and personal assistant of a literary scholar named Sir William Temple. And while staying there, Jonathan Swift took off his residence at Moor Park. Just remember the name, it is very famous for him, where he met Esther Johnson. At that time, she was only 8 years old, and she is the daughter of an impoverished widow who actually acted as a companion of William Temple's sister, Lady Gifford. Then, at the time of staying there also, Swift was Esther Johnson's tutor and as well as mentor, giving her the nickname Stella. And then the two maintained a close but ambiguous relationship for the rest of his life. Then in 1690, Swift left William Temple for Ireland because of his bad health, but returned to Moor Park the following year. The illness that from which Swift was suffering consisted of fits of vertigo or giddiness. Now the disease is commonly known to be Manor disease. It is a kind of condition of the inner ear that leaves the afflicted nauseous and hard of hearing. It's a kind of a disease like deafness. Okay, and it continued to bother him throughout his life. He was then employed in helping to prepare William Temple's memoirs and correspondence for his publication of all his writings. During this time, Jonathan Swift wrote a very famous book, and the name of it is called The Battle of Books. It's a kind of satire, and it's a kind of satire by which responding the then critics of William Temple, and especially those of the discussion goes on with the modern and ancient conflict. And he did, however, by doing it, make more serious attack upon himself. We know in that book he talked about the ancient as the bee and the modern writers as the spider. Okay, and the book was published in anonymous manner, but it was a kind of a tug of war. And then in 1704 he published A Tale of a Tub, and though it was a widely popular work, and it was published to along with that work that in the Battle of Books, and the result of it became a very disastrous for him. Queen Anne became very much displeased with the writing of it, and then, although he was still in contact with Esther Johnson, we have found that he is engaged with some other girl named Esther Vanbrugh, okay, and whom he called Vanessa, and after that courtship with her actually rather, he composed a poem named Cadenas and Vanessa. It's a very significant one. And then if you're talking about then his career, his writings earned him a reputation in London. And when the Tories, the political party, came into power in 1710, they asked him to become editor of the particular magazine, or you can say official paper, named The Examiner. He wrote most cutting and well-known political pamphlets of the day, including The Conduct of the Allies, and it was an attack on the Whigs. In his lifetime, he is completely a favorite of Tories, but he has the shifting personality. He changed to Whigs also later, when he saw that the Tories would soon fall from power. Jonathan Swift returned to Ireland. And then we see, after the death of Queen Anne, when George I took the throne, the Whig party dominated the English government. And these events effectively ended Swift's hopes for the advancement in the church or government. He returned to Ireland and became Dean of St. Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin in 1713. Then he focused on especially on writings, and boring many of his official opinions with political circumstance, and that produces his best work, Gulliver's Travels. After the publication of it, the book has become an immediate success. And you need to know the fact that at that particular time, the adventure stories were all the way, and especially it was made popular by the publication of Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe a few years earlier. After it, then we have found that the work of Lawrence Sterne's Adventure of Tristram Shandy show the adventure story was at its peak. Just think that the book is almost 300 years later we are reading. Still, Gulliver's Travels remains Swift's most famous work, and it is a staple of the English literary canon. Not only that, you will be amazed by listening that the novel has remained in print constantly since 1726 and has been adapted to pictorial books, comics, and a number of films too. Not only that, the novel gives us plenty of terms into English languages. And if we talk about some, first is Lilliputians. The term is derived from the 6-inch tall Lilliputians Gulliver visits on the island of Lilliput. In our language, it is often used as an adjective to describe things that are very small. And then the second one is Brobdingnam, or you can say the term like that, Brobdingnagian. It derived from the 60 feet tall giants Gulliver visits in the country of Brobdingnag. It is a kind of adjective to describe something that is a very huge. Not only that, next we also find an interesting term, Yahoo. I know many of you have already acquainted with the name. It is taken from the term the Huffydom horses used to call the humans. They call the humans as Yahoo. And perhaps it is better known as a you can say search engine in our day-to-day life in internet, Yahoo. But it is also used as a noun by the Merriam-Webster dictionary. They used it that a person who is very rude, very loud or stupid is also called Yahoo. And then returning back in England, Swift remained politically also very active. He started writing political pamphlets supporting various Irish causes, such as Irish independence from British colonialism. The most famous of these writings is A Modest Proposal, and it was published in 1729. After publishing it, this brought attention to poverty in Ireland, and it is a very humorous way with its outrageous and sarcastic suggestion that the starving Irish families sell their own children as food for the wealthy English to serve their life to keep themselves alive. It's a kind of very dark kind of thing that happened in Irish history. In his personal life, Swift has many friendships with other prominent literary figures such as Alexander Pope and the playwrights William Congreve and John Gay and many others. In his life of romance, his lifelong friendship with Esther Johnson, who is better known as Stella, is remembered to all. She had inspired scholarly and non-scholarly speculation over the years writing. And at the end, in the year of 1745, on October 19, this great man died a happy life. And he was buried in St. Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin. Thank you and have a great day.